This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for product, and fowlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen, King Pearlshine, and Mognite. Class is in session.
I don't remember the last time I've actually listened to your intro because I'm always literally on the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. That is fair. You are already here. Speaking of, hello everyone. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours featuring myself, DMO73, and I am joined as always by Mike Rance.
That's me.
Who has replaced Reichel Mance. Reichel Mance was here last week. Mike Rance is back. Glad to have you back. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Good to have you back.
I killed Reichel Mance. You'll never find the body.
And
Raul
Peisman was also here last week, but we have Paul Reisman back. So we're glad to have Paul Reisman back. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good to have you back, Paul.
Feasting on this new set.
Paul's too good of a boy to murder his alter ego. He just kind of raptured him.
Yeah, it's fine.
I eat him in the womb.
There you go.
I have questions. Anyway, we're here. We're so glad to have you all here. We hope you have been had a great pre-release weekend. This last weekend was pre-release. I haven't gotten to play a pre-release yet, but I am this weekend or this Wednesday.
Me either.
I'm very excited about. That's okay, Mike. It's okay. But we are going to talk about the big news of the set so far in the fact of the updated pull rates, because we have heard from overseas what box pull rates look like, as well as we've seen pre-release pull rates. So that's a big thing to kind of talk about. And we got other few kind of topics to kind of go into as well. But first, I want to say again, thank you all so much for being here. If you like what you would do and want to consider supporting the channel and getting access to some cool perks, you can consider clicking that join button down below. It is the easiest way to support the channel financially and get a lot of cool perks. I do want to say the intro hasn't been updated, but I did want to give a big thanks to one of our new guest lecturer members who's joined a little while ago. That's Darren. So thank you so much, Darren, for being one of our new members. That'll get updated in the intro. So we appreciate that support. And also, I believe a couple other big announcements is Odyssey Games still has pre-release kits available, but only a few left. You have to email them directly to buy one. They are $189.99 plus $10 for shipping, and you can email them directly. The information is in the description. And if you haven't already seen it, you need to get signed up for the March 11th and 12th online Discord GP. That is a link in the description to get signed up for that as well. It's going to be there, and we really, really want to get that full unpaid invite to Worlds on the line. You get a bunch of great promos, including the 2 monthly promos that we're about to show off and kind of talk about as part of your participation stuff. And yeah, it's going to be a great time. That was a lot. I'm almost out of breath.
Jeez, wow, you really just went off.
I got a lot of things to talk about here. So, Paul, you have played some pre-release environment stuff. I do want to talk about, did you guys use the proposal that we put forward about how to play pre-release with proxying the rulers?
Yes, we did. So our pre-release decided that you could proxy the rulers because literally the rulers have the effects that make the cards actually work.
Right, the keywords. Yeah.
Basically, you could choose either the ruler or the Moonchild. Why are you choosing the Moonchild? You're choosing the ruler. So,
right. And you guys could cast contract spells, but couldn't contract, correct?
I was told we could not use contracts.
Oh, couldn't use them at all? Okay. I mean, the chant side is just a chant, so it's just like, we've let people use those before. So overall, what was your experience from the pre-release environment?
Fear and trembling at this guy.
Fighter, yeah, a 4/4 mana sink to make tokens.
Turns out a mana sink that makes dudes is really, really, really good in draft. But no, it was good. I ended up getting second place overall, which was okay. I played Dry's stuff, and of course, if you've seen Foul Wednesday in the distant past, you know that there is no way, if there's a sealed or a draft of any kind, I'm getting away from light, water, wind. There is just no way that I'm getting away from that.
Impossible.
And it was actually really helpful. So a lot of board control. A
Yeah.
lot of interesting tricks you could do.
Cool.
Locust
Good
is
to know.
also very, very good.
Yeah, we will be streaming our pre-release environment this Wednesday on the channel in lieu of a feature match, so be sure to check that out. It won't be obviously at noon, it'll be in the evening Eastern Standard Time, but I'm looking forward to that. And we also later this week will be posting our box opening. I know that this past weekend we did the pre-release kit opening. But the biggest takeaway, I think, regardless of what we're excited about to play with new cards, regardless of how things went, is the boosted pull rates for contracts. For those of you who did not see, in pre-release kits that have this in the US in English produced pre-release kits, the pre-release packs had 2 of every contract plus a Genesis or plus a secret rare plus a Death Scythe in every single kit. And then what we found out, so that was nice to see, but then it was like, okay, well, that's pre-release packs. What about boxes? And the biggest takeaway from that is we saw that France and European countries, their pre-release kits don't have pre-release packs in them. They're just 2 boxes. So they were able to actually open up boxes of the set. And their boxes all had 6 contracts in them on top of the contract reprint pack. So every box came with 4 contracts plus a Genesis plus a Death Scythe per box. For those of you who are doing math at home, considering we used to get 2 contracts per box, that is a 300% increase. One moment, please.
That many. What up, Coda? Everyone say hi, Coda.
Coda entered at quick cast speed.
He really did. He removed
Yeah,
Jeremy
it's
from
actually
the...
warming up here in Michigan. We're supposed to get more ice on Thursday. So looks like the same in Minnesota. But yeah, we're gonna get annihilated by what's left of that storm on Thursday.
New
be
York
fine,
is
though.
getting rain.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Patrick just said, Coda, please.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, pre-release is really interesting. Blessing was also a really good engine. Just in general, Blessing
What's
was like,
up?
really, really, really strong.
Patrick saying, Coda, please.
Coda, please.
Listen. Yeah, I was just saying Blessing was a really good engine too. Since
Yeah,
there
I can
was
imagine
like
for sure.
discard spells, like 7/7 flyers that, you know, once they get Blessing, you get discarded. Like there's just like a lot of like really good stuff in there. Leo Wolf was a real threat.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play the set. It seems like a lot of good, kind of cool stuff could be manipulated and stuff like that. So it'd be cool to see how it comes out. We're looking at cloudy and 65 to 70 degrees in Tennessee. Nice for you.
Good. Wow.
Yeah,
good for you, man. No.
But yeah, the boosted pull rate, I think, is kind of honestly pretty, to kind of circle back, like the boosted pull rate, I think, is honestly perfect, and really speaks to kind of what it fixes things in a couple of ways in terms of the way we've seen the pull, like how the pull rate is allocated. Like it's 4 contracts plus a Genesis plus a Death Scythe. And I think the reason why that's so good is because Olga was right out the gate the ruler that, like, we actually saw all of his support right out the gate. There were no more hidden cards. We saw every single one of his cards. And so it became very clear that that man needs 4 of his contract. And there was also concerns about, well, it's a Marvel rare, and we know what happened with the last Marvel rare contract and how hard it was to pull. So we were really concerned. But it's 1 per box. Literally every box has a copy of it, and it doesn't take one of your Marvel slots. So like that right out the gate is perfect. It makes Olga very playable and just really, really awesome. The second thing is there's a generic contract for any of the Moonchild rulers, also in every box. So like you don't have to worry about that taking up one of your contract slots for the new rulers. You just get it. And then you get a mix of different contracts for the new stuff. To me, this like truly cements it in my mind as like the next, I'm just getting into the game, I want to buy a box, what should I buy? For the longest time it was Assault into the Demonic World. Now it is War of the Sun. Like, it is my number one recommendation to like just go buy a box of War of the Sun and start playing. Like, it'll be very easy to jump in.
No, Jeremy, that's wrong. The choice is always going to be Millennia of Ages.
Stop. You don't even get rulers in that set. Stop.
How do I play the game without a ruler? Yeah, we'll do that.
Just make it up. Ooh, Clockwork Magic Furnace. Wow.
I would say a close number 2 would be any of the starter decks that we got with this cluster.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
All
also
of
true,
those
yeah.
rulers are amazing, and they're ready right out of the box. And you
Yeah.
get stuff in this set that helps to support that kind of stuff.
Yeah. This
Legacy
set also
support.
brings, this set also has a lot of really good generic stuff that's just cool, splashable stuff to experiment in different sets, especially in the casual environment, right? Just people trying to like goof off with friends and try goofy stuff and fit stuff in. Like, we've already been talking about the fact that the darkness contract, or the darkness Marvel Rare, the False God, and the give 3 things blessing is just like a 2-card little darkness boss monster engine that you can just slot into like any deck that is a dark base, or like something like Shion or something like that. And I'm like, dang, that's pretty sick. I'm gonna jump into that for sure. So it really feels nice to be able to have something like that. And also, you know, the contract reprints, like those are gonna be like $10 a piece now, as opposed to people sitting on like 4. I heard that someone overseas in Europe paid, before a tournament, to make sure that they had enough Memory of Worlds, paid €70 for a foil Memory of Worlds non-secret, just so they could get their set. And it's like, now the non-foil Memory of Worlds will be like $10. And I'm like, that's such a nice change for the players who don't have that kind of disposable income, that it's just, good job, I Spy. You had committed to a case pretty early in hopes of VR, but we knew what happened there. How are the Sunchild should polarize in regular packs? It's a Sunchild per ruler. Like, when you pull the ruler, you pull the matching Sunchild to go with it. So, yeah.
No, just do the Chad and no Sunchild deck building.
Just mono ruler. No
Just
big
put
deal.
the ruler on there. No Sunchild, no Moonchild.
Don't need it.
Just
Don't need
the Chad deck.
So yeah, that was just really nice to see. It's a nice change of value. Yeah, it makes it so that the boxes are still going to hold value for sure. Like, buying a box is immediately going to get you your value back, but it does properly kind of shift things in a way that doesn't tank the value of boxes, but still gives you a nice, easy onboard ramp to have some value in what you're pulling. Pre-sale prices are crazy. I don't know why anyone, like, Cardodoko right now, you can go onto Cardodoko's website and buy just a sealed contract pack for $40.
I remember back in the days of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pre-sale Draco Sack was like $200, and when it came out, even with Dragon Rulers being the Dragon Rulers, it was $120. And I'm like,
yeah, values will drop. Pre-sale prices are insane. I think I'm personally only charging, I think I told the locals that like it's going to be like $10 a piece, because in my mind, like, looking at Cardodoko is like, again, buy just a sealed contract reprint pack. You get a Scythe in every one and 4 contracts, and it's $40. So in my mind, I'm like, the Scythe is free, each of the contracts is worth $10. Okay, that's a good starting point for my singles. Like, I'm fine with that. It moves them from us needing to buy 2. Yeah, I will say this. I have opened a pre-release kit and 2 boxes at this point, and I am 1 Starfall and 2 VR contracts short of a full playset. and I have other Marvel rares and other contracts beyond my playset of those that I could trade those for. Right? So we're back to like 4 boxes being a playset, which is historically the perfect middle ground of what players have been okay with. Like, people who want to try to sell stuff feel like 4 boxes is scarce enough that they can get money back on their singles, but not so crazy that people feel like they have to spend so much to get what they want, right? It's like that perfect kind of number. So we hit it. Let's keep it there.
We hit it. Yeah, Lovissimo. We hit it.
Yeah. So I look forward to being able to play with new stuff and watching Paul try to make VR work. Yeah.
As long as I'm having fun, she works.
Yeah, there you go. That's
There you
fun.
go. Can't take this away from me.
Speaking of fun,
already
speaking of
decided I
fun, hey, did you guys see that we got 2 new promos spoiled today?
Yeah.
This is honestly sick. The one that's been on the screen for the longest time, our Wanderer reprint, is Shackles of Ice. We remembered that Mercurius exists.
So unnerfed Mercurius too. Look at that. Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, we do have Shackles of Ice, which is a really good reprint to bring in based on your environment. Like, it's a card that people have been hungry for a bit to try to get. So this is really nice.
This shuts down the God's Arts of the Sun Children.
And it shuts off the will. It shuts off the will filtering of the Sun Children.
This is pretty neato as a reprint right about now.
Yeah, it's a good card. It's very
relevant.
Relevant. Unlike Susan. Susan wasn't particularly relevant, but we took it anyway.
Susie is great.
And then we got IU, the multi-dimensional warrior. So reprinting a Marvel rare, which is always really nice, from the Order from Game of Gods 2. We got IU, which also looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I did see someone post, I think it might have been Rustin, posted that the next promo needs to be IU's pet rabbit, and needs to be
the
just
zoom
a
in
zoom
version.
in of this rabbit.
I was
Just,
literally
like,
about to say that's
like
so
really just that's
funny.
what we need. Just
Oh
to really
my God.
mimic the set, just like zoom in on that.
No, actually, we should get a version. We should just get a card that's just a nice zoom in on Mercurius. I'm not going to say where. Y'all can put that in your imagination.
The staff, the top of the staff.
The top of the
Very
staff,
obviously.
right? Yeah,
Top of the
obviously.
staff.
Yeah, top
Or
of the
that
staff.
snowman with the hand sticking out.
Or literally Elsa's castle behind her.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell me I'm not wrong.
Dissociating.
It's
No,
okay.
you're fine, Paul. You can dissociate all you want. It's fine.
No,
These are very cool promos. IU has started to see play even outside of Order Alice decks, as people have been like, oh wait, she's just a good white 4-drop that I can will sync into to draw a card once per turn. Like, oh, that's actually pretty good. So it's cool to see this card kind of come back into the environment and get a very beautiful promo, and I'm sure it's going to look absolutely gorgeous.
And also in Wanderer, like, I was about to say in Wanderer, you have the whole format's Wanderer. But like Regalia are 0-cost cards that you just drop 2 of this and just have a swiftness and flying creature on turn 1. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just like at IU's core, she's just good, aggressive light card.
Yeah. It's a cool card.
Neat. Dissociating.
Dissociating.
How about IU? IU's a good card. We like IU.
Yeah, we do like IU. Yeah, it's nice. We also did get some pretty big news this past week, which I think we got to talk a lot about. Unexpected. Well, expected, but not what we got expected. We got the name. Oh, yeah, you called it a mile away. But, like, we got the name and confirmation that Hero Cluster is actually 4 sets instead of 3. So we did... When we saw that this set was going to be Oops, all bad guys, there was a real conversation being had of, okay, well, does next cluster become like the part 2 of the like heroes getting beaten and then try to like, you know, the classic like Final Fantasy VI where like the bad guy wins at the halfway point and then the back half of the game is like coming back and finding your way to win. So we were like, oh, so next cluster is probably going to be the heroes regrouping. And then Fow was like, well, you're right that the heroes lose, but joke's on you, 4th set of this cluster. We got Crimson Moon's Battlegrounds coming in May. So it'll be out before Worlds. It'll be out a whole month before Worlds.
Month and a half, actually, if you think about it.
Well, I mean, it's based on when it's released in May, like,
Yeah.
but like a full month before Worlds. I'm honestly pretty excited about getting a fourth. I mean, like, I like these characters. I like that we're following new characters. I kind of like the world that we're in. And so a continuation of this is cool.
I don't know, the world looks a little fucked up for that poster, so I don't know if I really love the world quite as much.
That's fair. That's fair. It's very Kefka. It's very Kefka 1 kind of vibe. Like Kefka successfully became God.
But like also at the same time, why robot tentacle lady thick?
Anyway, so we actually the sales sheet. So I do have some other images to show. The sales sheet actually gave us some information about how this set is going to work. And Mike, I'm going to read this to you, and I need you to, as the resident outsider in terms of like just off the wall, off the cuff, but still has FOW history voice. When I describe to you these 4 rulers, after I'm done describing you the structure of this set, I want you to tell me if this is not the most stereotypical 4th Force of Will set in a cluster you've ever heard.
I swear to God, if anything involving time travel comes up, I'm going to jump out this window. Okay. So Aristella, okay,
his gimmick is that he is going to have a card that he starts with and comes with the pack with him that allows him to tag with any ruler, as far as we know, from Grim Cluster. So Aristella's gimmick is that he becomes able to tag with any Grim Cluster ruler.
He Norts the Grim Cluster?
Yep, Nords it. Time travel. I was like, you said you were going to jump out the window, and I was like, kind of. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta Norda boy. Good old Brian David Gilbert. Just gotta Norda boy.
Like, if you know that reference,
yeah,
like, it's a deep iceberg.
Mike, I do need you back at some point to be able to tell you the rest of this so you can answer my question.
Portal back, Mike. Portal back.
So, he's back. He's climbing back. Call it. Yeah. Cool. So that's Aristella's mechanic. Then we have Electra is the second ruler, not pictured in this, and her thing is that it's a take. From what we can tell, it seems to be like a pseudo version of Bond, where she'll get to have 2 partners with her, but they're called armaments, and they most likely swap. Like, cards in your deck are armaments, and then they like swap throughout the game, kind of thing. It's what we think. It's the vibe, mainly because there's 14 of them, so feels very likely. They're called the card typing according to the cell sheet are called sub rulers, and there's 4 high armaments and 10 armaments. So it feels very likely that she'll start with a high, start with a regular, and then throughout the game you can like swap them. I did hear someone go cough cough Flesh and Blood, and I was like, I didn't play Flesh and Blood enough to get that, but maybe.
But yeah.
So there's that. And then
Limited
we got
armaments works.
However armaments works. Yeah, they didn't mention
Unlimited.
Bond, so it's like a different take on Tri Rulers, I guess. And then we have I forget what the name of the spaceship is. The spaceship can't contract and can't order, but it will have a like extra deck that it will draw from randomly that's supposed to be like the crew of the spaceship.
Strangers. Very
so
exciting.
It's a kind of, it seems like it's a rehash of the Stranger mechanic.
That's my favorite mechanic.
And then the 3 mechs in the back will be tag rulers that can interchange between, like, there's 3 of them. You pick 2 of them. That's what you start with. So we have tag. So in this set, we have tag with old people. So like super flexible tag. Tag with old people. That's it. That's the tweet. There you go. We have
Grim cluster, like old Grim from Lapis cluster. Tag with old people.
We have tag with old people. So the breakdown of this is we got super flexible tag, new version of tri rulers, the stranger mechanic essentially come back, and super focused tag, all in the 4th set of FOW to end out a cluster. Is that or is that not the most quintessential, like, well, that's one way to end it?
We're going to rehash every mechanic that's okay. I can't wait to draw random cards from my side deck again and never play them.
Welcome to Force of Will. Like, remember Echoes of the New World? What if we just introduced an entire new Will of Hope, Will of Despair archetype? Let's just flip a bunch and use your sideboard for your ruler. Like, what? Where did that come from? That wasn't anywhere in the cluster. Just like this idea of set 4 being this amalgamation of just like, oh, was not thinking this was where we were going. And then there we are.
Oh.
Associating.
Yeah, it is draw at random. We don't know exactly how that works. That is for sure. So Dolly can't help you there. Then we form the ultras.
I'm going to choose to draw at random.
I do want to show that we do have a couple of pieces of card art that's very blurry. If I can find it here. I'll have to go digging. Mainly that we've seen with the pre-release. We've seen a couple of... I can actually pull it up. I know exactly where to do it. We can... YY Card World, Crimson Moon's Battlegrounds. So we've seen... This is going to be like super kind of like not focused, but we're going to give it my best shot just for you guys. We're doing it live.
Go.
So here's the first one. This is from the sell sheet. It's a little bit of an example of what the buy a box promo and some samples of the card images are, and it's the first time we can see Electra a little bit. So let me try to like zoom this in a little bit. So you can see here, this is the sample image of the pre-release promo, which looks a lot like a secret rare, to be honest, which is interesting because it seems like there's gonna from the breakdown of cards, there are 6 J rulers, and so but only 4 secret rares, which makes me wonder, like, are 2 of the secret rares just gonna be the buy a box kit and the PR or like participation promo for pre-release kits? Like,
I love this
kind of
image.
Yeah. And then we have these 4 images. So very clearly the Solari rulers are going to be void. Aristella's going to be white. And then Electra looks like she's going to be red-black. It's really hard to tell. I mean, this is like super grainy, right? We understand because we're way far off. And then the second thing that we got is the... Again, trying to zoom it in here. Come on.
Thick robot.
Thick robot. Come on.
Thick spelled THIQUE. Thick.
Yeah. And then this thing we got in terms of the pre-release kits, we got this information here. It might just automatically update on the screen. Nope, it's gonna make me want to change it again. Is we got, again, this is the PR kit promo image, which again is that like pure darkness background, looks very much like a secret rare. And then we saw the pre-release playmat, and honestly the pre-release playmat looks really sick. It clearly has like the regular contract images and then these 2 little like sprites, which are probably the armaments, to be honest, for like, so it looks like we're gonna have a big theme of Electra for that. But overall looks pretty sick. Oh gosh, I forgot what thumbnail I had as the backdrop for today. But I do want to talk about, hearing all of that. What do you guys think of the information about Set 4?
Yes.
Say more. Say more, Mike.
Go more, Mike. Say
right.
more.
Thick robot mommy, and also Aristella channels the power of all the irrelevant rulers from years past.
But think about how good. But think about, like, if we've talked about this before, about like some of those rulers have relevance. The biggest hindrance is not being able to judgment without skipping a stone call. And so suddenly bringing them into the environment where they can use Aristella to call stone, like, that's not bad. Like, Abdul, actually a pretty damn good ruler. Right?
Ruler or J ruler?
Both?
Oh, you do essentially get both? Sorry, I kind of like, it removed myself from the situation when we were talking about time travel and the Grim Rulers. Sure. So I think I might have missed the part where
you would start with Aristella and a Grim Cluster ruler at the start of the game.
Okay, so yeah, Abdul becomes really good.
Yeah, because he's got a tap effect for a -3/-3. Now, -3/-3 stat lines have improved, right? But still, that's nothing to shake a stick at. Like, nope. -3/-3 can be a difference.
I sure do love starting the game with literally Seer of the Blue Moon, stealth stuff, also tap your Aristella and go off.
I have mentioned that as well. I was like, you mean that I can play Aristella and I can be playing standbys for one in today's climate when standbys are actually pretty damn good?
Like, yo, are you ready for the ultimate play? Aristella Lumia, you can tap Aristella for stone, tap Lumia for the 300 life. That matters.
Value.
Spicy.
Imagine searching for one-eyed dragon sealed one-eyed dragon with Bahamut every turn. Yeah, play some dragons.
No, that's not the Chad way to do it. Imagine every time you search a dragon, it's literally just Gilderai, and you play him, and you just smack your opponent in the face. I miss Gilderai.
Eris is here. Good to have you here. But yeah, like,
wow, I can't
there's a
believe
lot of
Eris
cool
late.
rulers.
Terrible.
There's a lot of cool rulers in Grim Cluster that have like those tap abilities or cool flip abilities that, like, if they stick on field, can have real impact. Like, if you can protect Abdul, and we have a lot more ways to be able to protect Abdul nowadays, when you can not have to tap him to call stone.
King Pearlshine, right? 6 cards with Christie every game.
No!
It's 6 cards again.
That's fine. Also, don't forget the fact that, like, the other thing to keep in mind is the fact that we don't have to, like, Abdul, speaking of Abdul, he stops all enter effects from everything. Like, additions, resonators, J-rulers, literally everything.
What's the absolute worst card?
And he can blank stuff for free twice a turn. Like, oh, that's actually pretty damn good. And we have really good ways to be able to protect him. Like, that's very cool. Or, yeah, and it also just opens up a question. Oh, you know what? I have a follow-up question, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Paul, Set 4.
Right.
Tell me what you think. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm excited.
Yeah, you're definitely excited.
Wait. Sorry, wait. Hold on. Sorry. This is really important.
Yeah, sure.
When it says Grim Cluster, Jeremy, is it everything Grim Cluster?
We don't know if it means you can play Vingolf 1 yet.
Okay, because Vlad with being able to tap. No, that's actually worse than just playing Vlad.
I mean, it doesn't. I mean, like, you just play Vlad. Like, it doesn't really help Vlad.
Vlad is maybe a relevant J ruler side. We don't know yet. I don't know.
Anyway, Paul.
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, so
wait. No.
Damn it, Mike. Right out the window again. I'm really interested, especially in the, like, tag with old rulers mechanic, more not because I'm like, oh wow, there's like all of these amazing rulers, but because it's like, this means there's potential and precedent in the future to try and tag with older sets as well. Like, I think ahead to, like, Alice Cluster, and I think about how, like, tagging with Blazer. seems pretty good. Just correct all your stones to red. But we don't get that quite yet. And when I was looking through, there's maybe like 3 or 4 rulers in Grim that I would be like, yes. Everything else though is kind of meh.
It's kind of one of those things where for me it opens up the design space as being a two-way street. It seems very much like you could play an Aristella deck supported by the tech options that the old ruler provides, like the tech tools that the old ruler provides, or you can play it where the center stage piece is the old ruler and you're just using Aristella to help them have more resources available to be able to do what they want.
Isn't Apostle of Creation literally just turn 1, flip into Kane, and just kind of protect the castle?
Can be.
Like, that sounds kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you could build, like an Abdul deck is probably trying to use Aristella to be able to then support protecting Abdul, and Abdul being the kind of focus, right?
Oh my god,
as opposed to using something like Scheherazade or Christie is more like, I want to provide the most utilitarian options possible to the Aristella side of the deck. And from a casual stop talking, Mike.
Sorry, no, I'm trying to I'm now you got my brain thinking now that I opened up Force of Wind and I'm looking at everything here, because I'm thinking of what if you just hard ramp your Aristella deck into Moon Princess of Stellar Wars and go mono white, except you're playing a deck full of the 12 kimonos, then you flip her for 14 will, all of it being moon, which you can't do because you're playing mono white. This has lost all of its purpose. I'm going to throw it back to you real quick.
Cool, thank you. I appreciate that. It's this piece of in the casual and in the competitive sense, providing that avenue of, do you want to play an older ruler but with the will production, stone resource of management that current rulers have? You can do that. Or do you want to bring an old favorite, something like Scheherazade, something like Alice, where it's more like she doesn't really have a theme, but she provides a cool other tool to Aristella? You can do that, right? That's just a cool way, especially to make use of that 10th anniversary set. Like someone said, play Aristella with Grimm in a fairy tale deck, so you just have Grimm being able to play, Grimm's ability lets you play all these new fairy tales regardless of stones, so then you can play a weirder stone base and support Aristella that way. All kinds of cool stuff comes out of it. The idea of, this is going to be silly, but the idea of Grimm plus Aristella plus Neverend, Neverend's just going to make my whole deck fairy tale. Grimm lets me pitch a card to just grab any fairy tale I want from my deck, which is, by the way, any card in my deck.
Yo, you can tell.
Oh, and also I'm playing, by the way, I'm also playing Heart to Heart Talk. So
yeah, okay, Jeremy, come on.
But doesn't Grimm say specifically white to discard a card, or is Grimm any color?
Grimm's any color.
Any color.
If Grimm was white, literally the old version of him with green and red Grimm would not
that's
work.
fair. Yeah, so free once per turn, go search for any card in my deck. That seems fun.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I'd say Grimm, Abdul.
Dracula's pretty interesting. Dracula in the sense that Dracula would benefit from the fact that he doesn't have to be the one calling stone. You'd still have to play a very heavy vampire package, and we really haven't seen that supported in quite some time. That would be something that benefits him, right? Because he was a ruler where calling stone and then not being able to judgment with him made having to kill stuff feel weird. But if you can be calling stone with Aristella, then Dracula becomes much more accessible and stuff like that.
Why is nobody playing Grimm with the Heart Talk right now? Because it's slow? Yes. Okay, thank you. Anyway, that's all I need to hear.
Great.
I answered my own question. I got you.
No, Jeremy, if Hyde can't have Heart to Heart, my idea cannot have it either. It's instant combo band. Listen here. Wolfgang has Heart to Heart available. So the fact that I'm paying 0 just to search for a card that I still have to play, as opposed to Hyde being able to put down a card that she can then actually use for free, those are different problems. I will say though, oh no, it's not an activate ability of Kaguya to put a card face down. It's like heart to heart with Kaguya 1. Just like put standbys down for free once per turn.
Jimmy, come on
But
now.
Nope.
That's not how that works.
Nope.
Curse my.
Rizard does, except that's a 1 darkness to do it. Rip.
I already played Grim with Grim with Neverend before Aristella. Now I get to have my cake and eat it too. Yeah,
Delicious cake too.
Basically.
yeah. Just search for any resonator you want in your deck.
Yeah, put it into
That's
the
right.
field. Put in was the
It doesn't put it into fields. It puts it into your hand, but it's fine.
no. Well, if you're Grim, it puts it into the field.
That's Tell a Fairy Tale.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought we were doing. With
Still a good
Grandma.
card.
Still a good card.
Also, you can just play Tell a Fairy Tale now.
Yeah, I want to put the 10k
Like,
10k
that
into the
package is
field.
back. It's a little expensive, but
I
I
mean,
mean it's viable.
I'm gonna put the 10k 10k into the field. That's all that matters.
yeah, make the
to me.
10k 10k into a Fairy Tale and then just treat him in.
I want to put Big Bungus into play. That's all I want.
Gotta have big bungus.
Biggest bungus.
Bungus Turbo. Let's go, boys.
Personally, don't think the combo pan with Hide and Heart to Heart was necessary. Because she can do it during both players' turns, and she has good cards that allow her to just flip them face up by putting them face down, it works into a similar vein as to why Heart to Heart Talk and Violet was banned. She generates free value that doesn't cost her cards for 0 will. So doing that actually does make a lot of sense when you realize that like Rusty's Fox does absolutely so much, and then she has Ega, which also can be free to then let you cast that Rusty that you put down for essentially 0 will. Like, there's a lot of things that I think very quickly would have gotten out of control if Hyde was allowed to have Heart to Heart because of how much value she can generate off of it. Unban your boy Hook. He didn't do nothing wrong.
You're absolutely wrong.
Stop.
Yeah,
Also, I
did a lot
won.
wrong.
Guys, what's the quickest I can put Big Bungus into play?
Turn 2.
That's pretty good.
Unprotected, but turn 2.
I want to kill people with him on turn 2.
I don't think that's possible.
That's very unfortunate. I do want to Bungus
Oh.
people real bad. This is a thought experiment, boys.
Sorry.
Sprinting Steward?
We have
I
to
don't
be
know.
playing it at a Vega deck, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, there goes Mike.
Yep, it was that bad of an idea. All right, let's move on.
Too strong.
But Jeremy, I want to punish greedy players. Aren't you trying to make Civil War and Solari work? Doesn't that try to punish greedy
Here.
players?
Here's how you punish greedy players. They tap for stone and it doesn't match any of the cards in their hand. You win.
Boom.
Okay, so that's set 4. Looking very much excited to seeing what that comes out with. I do want to talk a little bit. Paul has done a tournament report, which we'll be posting later this week, about the Converging Wills event. Mike did not play in it. Paul did not play in it. Mike probably did not look at any of the tournament results. And I didn't talk to Mike about what I was playing.
Nope.
But I did kind of want to talk. Sprinting getting banned, though, no. Probably. That's what we hope, that Sprinting Steward is getting banned, which we'll talk about that in a second. Archie says sources tell me otherwise. I don't have any information about what the ban list is. I know that what I've recommended to the ban list.
Whoever your source is, it's wrong. Anyway, continue.
So this past 2 weekends ago was when we had the Converging Wills event. There were 53 players in the tournament. The top 8 was aggro, combo, mid-range, and control. From no ruler taking more than 2 slots, and no 2 lists, even from the same ruler, looking identical. Stephen Holscheiser won with Phantasmal Ascendant, Phantasmal Ascendant, 3-drop 8/8 tribal Asuka, and the other Asuka list that was in top 3 was like Layla, control Asuka. And then we had Ainz was in the top 8, non-combo Ainz, aggro Ainz.
Second place.
Aristella, Isis Aristella, my deck, which was Dexia control Aristella. We had Order Alice and Typhon and Falchion also in the top 8. So I wanted to talk about this in the context of there was some dialogue coming out of this weekend that we heard from some players of being like, I got this comment from a couple of people. Jeremy, your deck seemed too fair. And so as we get to the end, this last minutes, I'm saying, what is our thoughts on, can fair decks be successful in FOW? And I say that knowing full well that I top 8'd with a fair deck. And honestly, if I had played my top 8 match, which I couldn't have because I had to go to church the next day, probably would have smoked it and probably actually could have won the entire event because of how my bracket was formed up, playing the fair deck. So that's the premise. Like, in FOW nowadays, can a fair deck be successful? Paul?
What is a fair deck? Like, what definition are we going off of to sort of like gird this conversation?
Sure. I think the idea of fair is that it's a deck that's not trying to cheese. It's a deck that feels perfectly comfortable just like taking its time and allowing the opponent to play the game, but like just having like a deck that thrives on solid fundamentals, not doing anything necessary, not like focusing its effort on like being cheeky to win, just focusing its effort on having good interaction, having a solid game plan, and being able to execute consistently in a way that like we've said before, I'm shooting to find lethal on turn 5. Sometimes against bad players or bad decks, I will find lethal sooner, but I'm very comfortable just like not even pushing for it until turn 5 or beyond. That would be my argument of fair.
Sure. So, like, well-rounded, well-founded, like just really good arguments for decks, as opposed to like herpy derp combo out, do ridiculous things that just like put your opponent in like really bad positions.
Yeah.
That's because that's when I've looked at the list, that's kind of what I saw, especially with the prevalence of just the aggro that was present in that top 8, with Ainz and some other ridiculous Aristella deck that was doing ham things with death metal.
I liked that, Matt. I put that deck, I played it in my last round, and it was a really, really close, like 3-game match. It was honestly really, really good fun.
That's wild. It's just so cool to see, like, there are still like combo decks out there that can go super aggro. But I mean, we've seen this time and time again. Like, anytime there's like a good, well-founded deck in the hands of a good pilot of that deck, it's very successful, right? Feasting Mujdart mirrors. Sure. I was talking about Europe, but I mean,
yeah. That's fair.
A lot of the times, just players who have the ability to just do their deck and do their plays really well, and just stay calm under pressure throughout the entire tournament, they just do well. Like, it just FOW benefits people who do that. It certainly also benefits people who are able to do some ridiculous ramping shit and revive stuff with Asuka and put a whole board of creatures on the field and just be like, here, win or else, right?
Sure.
It certainly can be like that.
Yeah.
But again, we've seen time and time again. I can't even think of a good example right now because there's just too many.
I will say, the chat is really focusing on a couple of cards. First off, to Toby's, Raging Messiah and Ainz yet again getting a combo ban, but Aristella can have his dang cake and eat it too. So if you're talking about the blue-white Aristella card that replaces your Moon Children, that card is meh at best. Two, if you're talking about Neverend, I think that Neverend is a good card, but take it from a person who played against matchups where people expected Neverend to exist and were prepared for it. Neverend was by no means a back-breaking card. It is a card that is good, but you can absolutely outplay it as long as you're playing it smart. And I think maybe in one matchup where the person wasn't quite fully aware of exactly what all my cards did because they were newer, did like the Neverend lock ever really like actually happen. Like, I was being responded to a lot. If you're talking about Dexius advice or trying to do like spam out the whole board by resolving a Dexius advice, I'll speak to the fact of like the number of times that I felt comfortable trying to go in on a Dexius advice before turn 4, feeling like I wasn't going to get punished for it, was like 4% of the time during a match. Like, Dexia's advice was like, this is a 5-drop. Like, I'm not casting it as if anything else. It is a 5-drop in my brain. I want 3 will for it and 2 will to protect it. Like, that's my goal. So just pointing that out, that like Neverend is good, but if you prep for Neverend, he's actually pretty damn easy to respond to. I'd like to point you to Lumia. Just like the Lumia black spell of just like, remove it from the game. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's how you get around Eternal. Toby, just tell us what you are talking about, because at this point we're having to assume because we don't know what you're talking about.
Why are you trying to assume what Toby's talking about? Toby's going to tell you exactly what he's feeling.
So
Choose your
say that Beanstalk got banned for essentially nothing because Neverend is allowed to exist to do the same stuff multiple times per turn. Those are different cards. Those are very different cards. Beanstalk says go get any Resonator from your deck and put it into the play immediately at instant speed during either player's turn. That's very different than here's a 1/1 that if you don't protect it and you don't answer it, I can give it board protection. Those are different. When Aristella is hitting 10 cards in public zones by the end of their second turn, it's incredibly busted. Again, as the person who was playing Dexius Advice Neverend stuff, the amount of times that that happened was about 4% of the time. Like, I will say this again, games will show that that happens. Matches and tournaments will not show that that happens. As evidenced by, once again, we entered a tournament where a bunch of good players from all over the world were playing. A bunch of people were playing Aristella, and one Neverend player made top 8. Just me. Clearly a problem. Think the strongest fair decks are decks that can go just 100% on brands, like full Wolfgang Cthulhu, Excalibur Heroes, Nyarlathotep, Magic Stone, Priscilla Resonance Aggro. I mean, I would argue that my blue-white-black Aristella deck was a fair deck. Like, I wasn't trying to do anything cheesy. I wasn't trying to, like, what's the most cracked thing I can do off of Dexia's advice. I was just trying to resolve Dexia's advices in a way that generated value. I was playing things like Charlotte and Fiola, just like good cards that do interruption while also like +1s. I was just playing a deck of like +1s. And sure, Dexia's advice was like a +2 to 3 based on like what I was grabbing, but like most of the other cards in the deck are like +1s. So just it's fine. Bye, Grants.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Hungry Box was a fair deck.
I'd argue, yeah.
Say more.
Unban my girl Carlina.
Don't do that.
Belial's gone. What are you going to do? Play a mediocre version
Play a
of
Sema,
it?
which is what I did. Order Killer. Like, we went from Hungry Box to Order Killer.
Order's not even around. We've got Sun Children now.
2 of them were in the top 8 of this past event.
Shh, that's not real. Anyway. Order rulers don't exist. There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
Toby, if I can sit there turn 2 while the opponent has 1 to 2 will max and I can play Protected under Red Child, play Dexia's Advice Awaken, grabbing the other spell. The fact that anyone thinks that that's possibly going to resolve when White Child is the most common ruler. Sunchild ruler. Like, just...
White Kid. Most powerful ruler.
And then you try to respond to my, and then you try to respond to my White Kid, and I go, cool. Now that you've played 2 spells, I'm gonna go ahead and do.
Ares is so right. Belial and Virgil are gone. No, don't unban Shirik.
I'm gonna do Angelic Battle Barrier, or like, Breadnon, welcome,
Bread,
welcome back. Good to have you back. That's cheesy. Let's see. Continue consistently. Yes, very much so. Yeah. I think. Let's see. I'm trying to see what's going on here in terms of Patrick saying it's cheesy. Are you saying that's cheesy to me, or like the cheesiness of like what that Toby is talking about, Patrick? Except for Death Metal Arthur, that's cheesy. Yeah, but I'm not like banking on that. Like I had it as a tech option based on matchup, but I think I used it once.
Sure, man. I cannot believe I saw Arthur Pendragon this year of our Lord and Savior 2023.
I used it to win a match. I used it to
I
win a
will
match.
reiterate that statement. I cannot believe that actually happened.
I used it to win a match. It was good. Yeah,
Also,
I noticed that now, Patrick.
Also, I figured it out. I'm going to cheat in a remote control golem, and then
Death Metal Arthur.
Brednon, don't worry. We are agreeing. We are agreeing that like.
I would love to unbend.
Let me talk about this. Hungry Box was a fair deck in the sense that it was trying to just play +1, like cards that generated +1 value. The +1 value, though, was just like an overwhelming presence. Technically glowing +1, but the amount of value that card generates by getting me that +1 and the versatility of my responses to what I can do to your +1s was so huge that like it was a fair deck because it wasn't trying to do anything particularly.
Carlina did nothing wrong.
Not true. Not true. Carlina did a lot of things wrong.
She ate everything.
She ate everything. Everybody got 8
for Carlina.
Always
low key 4/4 counterspell spam into swing secret playable. So I will say this about I will say this about the differences between something like Dexia's Advice versus Sprinting Steward, because that brings up an interesting point about like why do I think that Dexia's Advice is 99% of the time a fair card, and like Never End being kind of a fair card if you prep for it, being good, being okay, as opposed to like Sprinting Steward by using the argument of like only one made it top 8. I will say that the difference between those two is that Sprinting Steward does not need to resolve to have fulfilled its purpose.
I want to lose life.
That is the biggest piece of it. Sprinting Steward, as a card that deserves to be banned, I think, is that... Don't get me wrong, if they don't ban it, I'm not going to cry wolf. I just think it does need to, because of the fact that Sprinting Steward, to create a detriment to a game state, does not need to resolve to put that pressure on the game. It simply needs to be cast, and we have nothing in the game at this moment that prevents it from being cast.
If only it's a quick cast.
That's my big piece. So that's why I would put Never End versus Sprinting Steward, despite the fact that both of them only showed up in one deck in the top 8 in different categories of being problems. And I hope that makes sense.
Why is everybody talking about banning Sherry in this chat? Like, do y'all realize that she literally invalidates 3 different deck archetypes just by existing?
You finally broke me, Brett. You finally broke me. I did say put it on a. You and I had this conversation before, and I did say put it on a watch list. Like I just moved it from watch list to like
put it on a flip flop.
It's time. If the goal is to pay life, we have other cards that fulfill that as well for the same amount of will. That is correct. However, it's also not
in the same way.
It doesn't have mastery. Like. You have to commit actual resources to it as opposed to just turn Vega side.
Okay, so Admiral Ron, when you talk about, don't you dare talk about Krark Clan Ironworks in here. Like, that card caused so many ruling nightmares. You can't even compare it to anything Fau has right now. Fau has the card that says, oops, my board is now big. Not, oops, my combo is about to take half an hour, and you have to sit here.
I will say this about Sprinting Steward, from what I saw. Having played against 2 different Sprinting Steward decks now in that event, one that I beat and one that I lost to. I don't think I lost because of the Sprinting Steward in the second case, but this was how it was being used. Sprinting Steward is being used in one of 2 ways. It's being used in Vega to pay your life incredibly low, and you don't care if it resolves or not, because you're trying to set up for Inferno combo life loss shit. or it's being used as a pay 1 red, make my board swiftness. I don't care about the life. That's how it's being used right now. And I think because people have pivoted so hard one way or the other, and especially because of how some decks just literally there is no answer to someone just casting a masteried Sprinting Steward for some decks. I think it's had its time in the environment and is worth hitting. So, quality of life kind of thing. Yeah, with mastery shenanigans. Oh, if you're doing mastery shenanigans, let's combo ban. I think it's probably just fine to just ban it. Because I also that's a good point, Roderick. So let me put this out there. Let's just combo ban it because we're doing mastery shenanigans. From a spirit of the card, I genuinely, if a card was designed for a ruler and you're going to, like, a mastery card like that was designed for a ruler, to specifically say we're banning this card with this ruler so that you can't play it with mastery, a design mechanic we specifically used to try to link this card to this ruler, but everyone else can still use it. I'm a little bit just like, yeah, just get rid of it. Just ban it.
Eris, you were literally talking about a card called Life Equalizer, the card that equalizes your life.
Give Fow an unchaseable version of that.
Sure, I don't know, whatever. Just make it cost 1 black, 1 red with no way to actually, like, do anything about it.
Seward pays life as cost for no will, and the only other good card that pays life is a combo banned with Inferno anyway. Which one's the other good one that's combo banned with Inferno? Whispers?
Probably Whispers.
Is Whispers combo banned with Inferno?
No.
It's not Final Battle. Breddon, you have to tell me what we're talking about.
Pretty sure there is no combo ban with Inferno.
There is no War in Bossing Say either, so.
There is also no War in Bossing. There's definitely War in Bossing Say.
There's 100% a War in Bossing Say.
Propaganda.
Yeah. But
isn't that what British people say when they take a look at something? They give it a propaganda?
Oh, Whispers is combo banned with Inferno? It's comboed with Typhon. Yeah, not with Inferno.
Yeah.
I can't keep
But
track anymore,
Whispers also costs 2 will.
That's a lot of will.
The other idea is, like,
it's also quick cast.
Final Battle, I guess.
You just get fire spelled. Easy. GG. Well played.
Anyway, so we imagine, to kind of close out this conversation, this has been great questions. I hope, the debate is up for it. I honestly walked away from, I was telling guys before the podcast, I honestly walked away from this event feeling like the format is like 95% what I want it to be. Like, just little quality of life things, or like a ban or a combination ban here that, like, I would appreciate if they happen. And I think that there's justification for them to happen. But if they don't, I'm not going to be like, the sky is falling.
They should just combo ban Jeremy with Darkness.
Okay, moving on.
Just Jeremy Franklin,
Darkness cards.
Just
Yeah.
Jeremy
Darkness
Franklin,
cards.
aka DMO73, combo ban with all Darkness cards in Force of Will.
Listen,
so
man,
mad.
I don't know. That'd be a sick way to shake up the format.
The format that I don't play in competitive.
You played in Converging Wills, man. I don't know what to
That's
tell
true.
you.
There were playmats on the line. I don't know what to tell you.
If you don't play
As we
that,
close
just
out
talk
here
to me. I've
tonight,
got so many of
I
them.
do want to say again that it is most likely that we will see the new ban list this week, ban list and combination ban list, and to kind of again wrap it up, that you need to go make sure to check out getting signed up for the March Discord event, the GP through Games and Geek, because we're going to be streaming that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We are also going to be giving away, if you can't necessarily play in the event, but you still want to hang out and watch the stream, we are going to be giving away a set of all of the promos as if you had top 48 it, or like top 40, I think it's like top 48 or whatever. So one copy of all of the promos to someone who is watching the event but not playing in it. So if you can't play in it, you can check that out. And then again, let's tune in later this week for our pre-release event, the unboxing that we're going to do, and all kinds of other cool stuff. So thank you all so much for being here. This was a great discussion. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, this is myself, DMO73, and I have been joined, as always, by a pretty active Mike Rance.
Carlina did nothing wrong. You all are just scared.
as someone who helped get Carlina banned, she did everything wrong.
Correct.
And she deserves
Yes.
to stay there. And Paul Reisman.
Carlina was the problem. I will fight you, and I will win.
Fighty lady forever.
Till next time, class dismissed.